Hello, and welcome to our Gin Weekly Update for Friday, October 27th, 2017. I'm Joel Yeast. This week in the update, a reminder for our Club 712 ambassadors and the call coming up this weekend. We'll take a look at our weekly webinar. We'll take a listen to our weekly development series and a special message from one of our Chief Education Officers. But first, all Club 712 ambassadors, look for an email with details on a call coming up this weekend, Sunday as a matter of fact. Blaine Athorn, Dr. Tom Morter, Lee Kenny, and I will have updates and information for you. If you're a Club 712 ambassador, look for that email with all of the call-in details. Next, in this week's webinar, we have part 4 of our Bryan Dodge Series.
The reason why life is tough on people is because you've been too easy on yourself. The truth of the universe says the easier you choose to be on you, the harder life now chooses to get on you. The harder you choose to be on yourself, the easier life gets on you. It's time for you to grow.
It's a great series, and there's only one segment left, part 5, which will come out next week. As you know, level 4 and above members can see the entire 5-part series right now before the release date. Level 1 and above will have access to each webinar the day they are released on a weekly basis. The development series this week features our very own Ed Foreman doing what he does best. Let's have a listen.
I've not only been talking to you folks today, I've been talking to me. I need this stuff myself. We all need it. You go out and teach this. Go out and teach it to your family. Go out and teach it to your associates. Do everything. The more you teach it, the better you'll practice it. Because people look at it and say, are you doing it? Watch me, baby. You bet I'm doing it. And see, if you're teaching it, you got to do it. Particularly with your kids, that's really bringing it close to home. You can't teach responsibility and eating right and exercising and not do it and have your kids believe you. You got to do it.
Once again, so good. Excellent work from Mr. Ed Foreman. And finally today, we have a special guest with us. Allow me to introduce our Chief Education Officer, Dr. Tom Morter.
Thank you, Joel. I'm Dr. Tom Morter, and today I'd like to talk with you a little bit about momentum. You see, momentum is actually defined as a quantity of motion in order to move a body. Now, that's important to each of us because we are all experiencing momentum, individually and collectively. You see, this momentum that we're talking about is a measurement of the strength or a force that is gained by this motion. The strength or force that is gained by this motion, by moving some ball of energy or some substance, something that is real and tangible, moving it in a certain direction. You see, by doing that, it can happen, it's either the measurement of that strength or force, or it is actually a series of events that moves an object from one place to another. The motion or the momentum, the energy required to accomplish that. And today I want to talk a little more about it in the context of a series of events. You see, there are a series of events that are happening inside the Global Information Network. They're happening right now. They're happening as you watch this video. You see, the series of events that have been in place that are moving this club forward have been in place for decades. It's not just since the club started in '09. The club just didn't materialize one day. The club is a result of one man's vision who began to talk with other people in a mastermind and say, what if we could create a club that would allow people to improve certain aspects of their life? Now, maybe those aspects are health, maybe those aspects are wealth, maybe they're relationships. There are a number of aspects of one's life that can stand improvement. You see, the key is that this began a long time ago. It actually was set in motion decades ago. Some of these concepts were set in motion centuries ago. The reality is there is a momentum, an accumulation of information, an accumulation of energy and ideas that are actually moving in a certain direction, and you cannot stop them. It is an uncontrollable force. It is in motion, and it is happening today. You see, what we have observed inside this club, inside the Global Information Network, is a growth, a momentum, a growth of our members. And it takes a certain period of time for them to marinate and to develop and to move in a direction to become unified. You see, when this club began, in the very beginning stages, it was just the Global Information Network, and it was the beginning level, and it was identified as level 1, knowing that there were 12 levels total to follow, 11 more to follow. And then as it moved to level 2, more people came in as level 1, and so you had level 1 and level 2, and then level 3 was released, and you had level 3 and level 2 and level 1, and you had new people joining, and then 2s became 3s and 3s. It took a period of time before level 4 was released. This is a momentum curve, and you see it takes a certain amount of growth inside a club to be able to move a club, to create that momentum or that force to move an object, i.e. the club, in the direction to the fulfillment of its destiny. And so what's happening is that we've witnessed this growth of the club, and it started when members began to, the ultimate goal is to grow inside the club members to carry the club, to continue the momentum. It's not ever been about a single person. It's about the movement. It's about the momentum. It's about the club. It's about learning. It's about the lessons. And you see, what we've witnessed, it started a long time ago. It happened in small increments when people began to speak about their successes from applying their series of events by applying the lessons that they learned inside Gin. And as they grew and they began to speak, and some of those were speaking on cruises, some were very short periods of time that you were allowed to begin to express your enthusiasm and your feeling and your personality combined with the wins that you had, the celebration of the wins by applying the lessons. And as those grew and as those things happened, that later we developed a sanctioned speaker aspect to the club where people could become more adept, where people would become more comfortable, where people would understand a few basic fundamental principles of communication so that they could better share their story, which allowed them to better explain the benefits of the Global Information Network. And therefore, momentum continued. And as level 5 was released, momentum continued. And then as people began to do membership overview meetings, and as people began to hold success mastery course meetings, and as people became speakers at major events like what happened in Aruba, a major turning point in this club. Because we then had enough momentum going where members began to get on stage and tell their stories. Because there's nothing more passionate, there's nothing more compelling, there's nothing more moving than someone telling their story in their words with their passion and their excitement. And when they did that, the club grew. You see, that's a huge benefit of Gin, is that you can grow. I grew, so can you. Apply the principles. We then began to see people put together some of those pieces of the puzzle, and the leadership of this club, the upper levels, the level 6 area of this club, began and had attended already a Club 712 in New York City. Another flashpoint for change and momentum in this club. And then there was another Club 712 that happened in Arkansas, here in Rogers. And another flashpoint occurred. And then we had an event in Montreal where we had more speakers, more members, more people who were experiencing growth from within the club sharing their stories. like Heather Ramsey, spectacular job in Montreal, like Aline Dalviez, Aline Apple Queen. If you were not in Montreal, you don't know what that means, but she will, I can never eat another apple and not think of this beautiful picture of this woman who is enough, who is moving forward because of her training inside this club. It was spectacular. The Patinodes did a spectacular job. You see, people are growing inside this club, and as they move forward inside this club, it contributes to the overall momentum. We recently had a call with the leadership council of Club 712, and this Sunday we're going to have another call for all of the ambassadors, the 100+ ambassadors. You see, as we begin to share the great news inside this club, and as those people begin to continue plugging in and begin to re-engaging other members, the momentum continues. You see, what's so important is that we had a meeting recently in Paris, and what's so important is that people begin to re-engage when they come back to an event. You see, when they come in the presence of other energetic beings, other like-minded individuals vibrating at the same frequency, this is what I heard, and this is what I've been hearing over the last 6 months, is that something was missing in my life. Well, I'm telling you, there's something that has been missing in your life. For those of you who are waiting to re-engage, it's the very reason you joined this club. You see, there was something that you wanted to improve. And when you step away from the club for a short period of time, you know, this happens in the growth of a club. It grows and it constricts, and it grows and it contracts, and it grows. And if you are one of those people that were in that growth, and maybe there was a new shiny object, maybe there was something else that you thought looked like it would solve what you were looking for. You see, the difference in lots of those shiny objects in Jinn is the depth of Jinn. Lots of things can appear one thing. They're wide, they're not deep. They look good until you get involved and there's just not much there. The beauty of this club is the depth. Kevin Trudeau has depth. Blaine Aythorne has depth. The Morters have depth. Ed and Erlene have depth. Mary Miller has depth. Jinn has depth. You see, it is in that depth where we concentrate and we begin the movement forward and the momentum that I'm talking about. That's what's happening right now inside this club. We've had more people re-engage. We've had more people join than since the entire receivership scenario happened. The reason for that is called momentum, because there is an energy, there is a force that is moving this club forward. No matter what external forces come at us, it doesn't matter. It's immaterial. This is a club that is moving forward. And one great way that we're going to do that is we have re-engaged Lee Kinney as our Global Expansion Director. You see, Lee has a tremendous background. He actually was in charge of Jinn at one point. Lee was in charge of growing natural cures to hundreds of thousands of members. He understands the internet, and he understands electronic communication with people. He is a key component to us moving forward, bringing this momentum, moving in the right direction. He is traveling, as you watch this, he is traveling, spreading this word. He joined me in Paris, and we had some great communication and some great conversation, and shared a great dinner, a couple of great dinners. Because that's what this is about. It's those relationships. It's building those relationships that can help us continue this momentum. So I have a couple of questions for you. Number one, what are you moving toward? What is it in your life that you desire to move toward? You may want to hit pause and just contemplate that for a second. What is it in your life you're moving toward? Sometimes you had to identify what you want to move away from in order to know what you want to move toward, but I want you to focus at this moment on what am I moving toward? And the second question that I have for you is your momentum, what you're moving toward, is your momentum carrying you in the direction of your life purpose? Is it moving you toward your life purpose? What is your purpose? I want you to think about that. I want you to spend some time on that. Why are you here? What is your purpose? And then what action steps are you going to take? Because this club only works if you apply it and you take action. What is it you're moving toward? Is that moving you in the direction of your life purpose? I'm Dr. Tom Morter. Thank you for watching. Back to you, Joel.
Thank you, Dr. Tom. Another excellent, poignant message from you. We appreciate all you do for this club. And that's the weekly update for Friday, October 27th, 2017. I'm Joel Yeast. I'll see you again next week.